Another episode of Tokyo Revengers has come out, and I am very impressed because it shows more into the origins of Coco and Inupe, a little bit of it, teasing us of why at least one of them is very adamant on bringing back the Black Dragons, another more lore of Shinichiro, Takemichi being a badass, showing that, he's capable of being a badass. So let's get started. So we start off where we left off last episode. Takemichi, Inupe, and Coco have been captured by the 5th Division captain, Mucho. We get an explanation on Tomon's 5th Division, how they kind of function as the more guys who keep an eye out for any possible traitors.
Ironic.
It's interesting that they not only can infight, as Mikey gave that specific ability to this division, but also it is fun that Mucho knows about the stuff how Mikey and Takemichi first met. And I like that he questions it. Remember Kiyomasa, the one character who tortured Takemichi, and we had to see Takemichi overcome him in season 1? It's fun that Mucho sent Draken and Mikey there, possibly told them that Kiyomasa is up to something that hurts Tomon. So I like that there's a connection with season 1, one of the most important moments in this series being Mikey and Takemichi's meeting. So we also get a bit of more talking about the special team, eventually all leading up into, well, the one problem I have with Kakucho saying that, well, there's a traitor in the group, which, no fucking obviously, it's Mucho. Mucho has quite literally been one of the more interesting ones, since we don't know much about him. And as I said in a previous video, in the manga, what Kakucho had told Takemichi was save Izana. That way, this Mucho betrayal is completely out of fucking left field, and you're not more or less suspecting it. You have an idea that something's off, but not that he's the traitor, unlike in this one, that it's freaking obvious that he's the traitor. That's my biggest issue with this. Other than that, everything kind of was fine from here on out, since we get to explain how Izana, why he wants these two. He knows Inupe, so because he was in the 8th generation of Black Dragon, we get to even see a flashback of it with Izana in the 8th generation when he was the captain of Black Dragon. As well as we get to see the other Black Dragon leader prior to him becoming leader of Black Dragon. And Inupe when he was a youngster, which doesn't look much different. We also have Coco being revealed as someone who can gather money, which is why they want him. I like that it brings back to the present timeline when Takemichi was there, how Taiju had basically mentioned that Coco is Tomon's wallet. So it all connects from there. So this is an episode that connects things all together. But what is also interesting is they're trying to think that Mucho is just curious as to why Tomon was able to be attacked so easily, thinking that Takemichi is behind all of this. You'd expect that, considering that Takemichi and Kakucho have like a friendship that was revealed to Smiley and Angry. So you could make that argument, only for Mucho to be like, nah, I'm here on Izana's orders, since he was part of the S62 generation, one of the more vicious generations. They were under Izana, so Izana had something prior to being Black Dragon, connecting a lot of pieces together. So Mucho basically threatens to kill Takemichi and Inupe if Coco doesn't join. He's basically strong-arming him to join. Just as it seemed like Coco's put into a no-choice situation, Takemichi, in a way, changes the timeline. As he stands up and is like, I'm not letting you take one of my people. And he shows that he's a badass. Like, he's tied up. He's going to die, or well, more or less get his ass whooped. And yet he's ready for a fight. He's pumped up, which also gets Inupe to also get up and want to protect Coco. And as you'd expect, they end up getting their asses whooped. I mean, Coco still goes with Mucho because he was kind of forced. But I feel like in the other timeline, Takemichi proved to be a pathetic leader since it's not the adult Takemichi. So I feel like that's the reason why Inupe kind of just didn't care for Takemichi and joined Tenjiku. I believe so. But we have Takemichi carrying Inupe, apologizing since he kind of just thought of them as very scummy. But now he kind of sees them as like people worth calling friends. So Inupe basically Takemichi to a place where Shinichiro did his bike stuff, his old bike shop before, And we get to explore why Inupe cares about reviving the Black Dragon. He was someone who was with Shinichiro in his bike shop. And yeah, he wanted to join Black Dragon. He heard so many stories of the first generation. Unfortunately, as said in the earlier this video, he joined the 8th generation. The Izana generation, which is the most fucked up one because it completely destroyed Black Dragon, what it was. So, after all this conversation and this nice lore expansion on Shinichiro and Izana and his connections to quite literally the story so far, prior to this conversation, Inupe had asked Takemichi to be the new leader of Black Dragon, the 11th generation of Black Dragon. To which, by the end of the conversation, Takemichi takes that and wins over Inupe. Something that I want to point out, Takemichi has been able to win a lot of people because of who he is. Something that we should go over in a Takemichi video when I make it. I really do like this because it shows that Takemichi is listening and understands and is willing to put himself in a position which would probably end up getting his ass whooped, but he wants to help his friends. So he's a good friend. But at the end of the episode, as I said, Takemichi takes over as the 11th generation Black Dragon, as well as obviously still remaining as Toman's first division captain. And yeah, the episode ends on a high note. Despite Takemichi losing Koko, this isn't like a loss. Or, well, he lost the battle, but not the war kind of thing. And I like it. He won over Inupe, and now they have to be ready for the big fight with Tenjiku, which I honestly can't wait to see it animated. It's going to be quite fun seeing Mikey versus Izana, and then eventually the ultimate match, Takemichi versus Kisaki.